All right, you guys, welcome back to the channel. This one pretty much affects everybody. As much as well, not me, but as much as China is obsessed with the leftover age, as well as some other countries too, it's just that China pretty much has it as number one of talking about leftover people pretty much in the age group of 30 and up. Mainly unmarried women that are close to 30 are considered leftovers. But then in the workforce, once you hit 35, you're pretty much cooked too as well. And that's not just in Asian countries, that's in America too. Because once you get a certain age, people do not want to hire you, and it's going to be harder for you to get certain jobs because they figure you're too fat and you're too slow. I'm talking about from the Western standpoint. You either too slow, too fat, too stupid, or maybe all three. And let's just be real, most people are stupid. But let's tune in to what the South China Morning Post has to say about people in tech that are 35 plus. Let's check it out. Funny that's brought up. In most job interviews, they're not going to ask you if you're married or if you have children. But one time I was on an interview to be a pharmacy clerk in a hospital, and the manager was asking me about my family obligations. I'm like, this is kind of weird. This feels more like an interrogation more than a job interview. And it's easy for a job interview to feel like an interrogation depending on what kind of questions to ask you.
It's called the curse of 35 on mainland Chinese social media, and for many tech workers, it's a threat that's constantly lurking. So, how did 35 become too old to work in China's tech sector?
No. Check this out though. In the professional athletic world in America, if you're 35 and up, you're pretty much too old on the ball team. Because you have to remember, every year there's 18 and 19-year-old guys getting drafted to play pro ball, basketball, football, and baseball. Those are the most paid attention to sports in America, right? We're not going to get into soccer. We're going to talk about the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball. There's a lot of youngsters on there. And if you're 35, there's going to be a lot of guys, a lot of your teammates on the ball club are going to be way younger than you if you're 35 and up. For instance, those of you that are of age, if you remember Jerry Rice over 20 years ago, how old he was when he retired, he was close to 40 when he retired. And most of the other people on the ball club was way younger than that. But let's keep going.
You can see it spelled out in countless help-wanted ads and job descriptions. Even the Chinese government's own civil service examination in many provinces explicitly says citizens older than age 35 need not apply.
Cooked.
Earlier this year, a job opening for street cleaners sparked outrage online after it set a strict age limit of 35 for applicants. Stephen Shi has felt the effects of the curse firsthand. Shi was laid off twice in just 3 years after turning 35. He worked as a recruiter for a decade in several big tech companies, but after helping build dream careers for others, he's facing a nightmare finding a job for himself.
And see, that's the problem with working for these major corporations, especially if you're a tech bro like this guy. More than likely, you're building somebody else's dream until they let you go the next morning in a Zoom call, and everybody in management's laughing about it. Oh, thank you, Jason. Wang Li, we no longer need you. Thank you for all your time and your help. While they sit on top of the world, while they laughing at you because they pretty much laid you off in a Zoom call. So that's why a lot of people, they're really buddy together in these tech jobs. And that's why you see a lot of videos surfacing on social media that tell you to just take your ass home after the end of the shift. These people are not your friends. Leave them alone. Just worry about your actual bloodline, family.
Among 18 leading Chinese tech companies, none had a median age older than 34 years, according to Chinese workplace data provider MyMy. Many Chinese internet firms are known for embracing a sweatshop-like work culture known as 996, or being on the clock from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week.
Now check this out. So that defeats the purpose of avoiding manual work. Because see, have you noticed this? In this generation, Gen Z and millennials, they're shifting away from blue collar work. They don't want to be electricians, pipe fitters, and all that. They want the tech jobs. They want to sit in front of a computer sipping a $10 latte in a cafe. But a lot of these tech jobs, they provide their own toiletries and everything for their employees. They get the lattes, they get free lunch and gym and everything. Some of the companies even do their own laundry. They got a laundry service. It's crazy. I'm talking about in the Western world. I don't know about back in China, but I'm sure they have that over there too. But just understand, outside of China and Japan, there's a large tech sector right here where I'm at in the Bay Area. So I see these tech bros all the time. Like if I meet new friends, more than likely they're going to be in the tech sector. And I feel a certain type of way because I'm in healthcare. But there's times I have to be on the computer too, but not doing customer service shit or materials and all that. But let's see.
Experts say those over age 35 are seen as unable to cope with that kind of workload.
And employers prefer the younger force to the middle-aged cohorts because the younger force is seen as human resources, whereas the latter is seen as human cost. So to employers, people aged below 35 have high energy, they do not have or have less family commitment. So
my boy over there smoking a cigarette by the balcony. And see, the reason people smoke is to relieve stress. Well, it's supposed to be a stress reliever, but there's other ways to relieve stress without killing your lungs, right? I mean, nobody talks about how stressful these jobs are. I mean, I'm pretty sure when you're higher up, people are on your ass, people are watching you. It's a lot of micromanagement in these companies. People fear getting fired. There's no labor unions because they're not doing labor work. They're sitting in front of a damn screen. Which means a lot of these jobs are not long term. So at the same time, a lot of these guys are starting their own things. They're social media influencers outside their tech job, or they have sponsors for being car guys. I don't know. But like I said, I know a lot of these tech bros, and they don't stay long in these jobs. So they could lose their jobs at any moment. It's crazy. And at that, they want you to be under 35. The goal is to hire people in groups of 20s. They want people as young as possible that don't have any responsibilities like children, stuff like that. They want you to be completely free so then you can commit to their workplace and work the extra long hours.
They are not fussy about salary, and they're able to take high intensity work.
China's economic downturn has prompted companies to shrink their workforce. According to MyMy, from January to October 2024, 61% of employees responding to a survey reported that their employee numbers decreased. In many instances, relatively expensive middle-aged employees were the first to face the chopping block.
互联网企业现在会选择一种精打细算的方式来运作，而不会继续选择之前砸钱式的扩张。而一部分老员工呢，年龄较大，工资水平较高，身体机能呢也随着年龄的增长而下降。
And it's like that with pretty much in any job sector. Even outside the tech world, the goal is to get rid of the long-term employees that have been there 20, 30 years. So then they can get these new faces in there and pay them less money. That's what they're trying to do. That's every company's goal. They're always looking for ways to cut back and save money. Even if somebody's retiring, most likely they're not going to fill the position. They'll merge the position or add those extra job duties onto the current staff, which is bullshit.
而出于管理的便利程度以及成本的考虑，这些企业可能会考虑掉去优化这些年龄较长的老员工，而且选用年轻、便宜而且更易于管理的新人来替代他们的岗位。
People age 35 and above need to learn new skills, and they have less years of contribution to the workplace. And they have smaller potential for development. So newly emerged sectors like the internet and digital tech companies.
See, this was pretty much replacing manual labor work. How many robots can you put out there in the field to pick grapes and everything?
Prefer quick learners, hard workers, and creativity. So experience is less important comparatively.
Article 26 of China's employment promotion law says employers are not allowed to engage in employment discrimination.
Yeah, they say that, but they're going to do it anyway, though. How can you pick up on somebody discriminating against potential candidates to hire? I mean, there's nothing you could do about it because you're not required to hire whoever you employ.
Article 3 of the labor law guarantees workers the right to be employed equally and choose jobs. But employers often find other, more subtle ways to make it harder for middle-aged workers.
我做中国律师做了差不多5年的时间，截止到现在还尚没有一例，就是劳动者因为仅因为年。
Because they can't do that. Of course you're not going to see it. I mean, unless you suspect it. But more than likely, somebody's not going to go to a lawyer because they feel they were let go because of their age. Come on now. You guys know I work in healthcare, which means I work directly with the nurses and doctors. And there's nurses that are almost 70 working double shifts. And management is not trying to let them go because of their age. But then again, we're all union, so it'll be harder to do that anyway.
年龄问题被用人单位辞退，我觉得可以把它归结于一个隐性的歧视，但是这个隐性呢，正是由于它可以叠加其他合法化的要素的外衣，所以很难被察觉。年龄歧视呢，可能被转化为其他批。
That's what I was saying. They could disguise the discrimination in other ways, but then have you noticed? Most jobs are not going to hire people that have mental issues or Down syndrome. You don't see a lot of those people working in, like, let's say the DMV, federal jobs. I don't see any tech workers with Down syndrome or anything, which I'm pretty sure they do have a sector for them to work in, but they're not supposed to discriminate. Where are they all at? Too fat, too slow, too stupid, mental issues, depression, I don't know.
着合法化外衣的要素，比如说工作效率、工作能力，能否适应加班，能否适应更高的工作强度。
This looks like a job fair. This is the biggest waste of time ever. Most of these people won't get any callbacks if they're not hired on the spot. If you're not hired a job on the spot, more than likely you're not going to get calls from none of these people. Every job fair I went to, I never got any calls back. The only ones you were guaranteed a job for is if you highway patrol or some kind of police officer or military. They usually go to these job fairs too. That's the only thing you're going to get is if you enlist in in some kind of military branch. Other than that, it's a waste of time. These jobs aren't even really hiring. I've been to all these job fairs in the early thousands. Bullshit. So now they're going to have everybody scared of the word 35. 35 is a good age. In America it is. If you're not overweight, your skin's glowing, you're exercising, you're doing the right thing. You have a good job, your credit's good, you drive a nice car.
Wu Kai-wei was fired once she turned 35.
Shit.
She soon found nothing but closed doors as she searched for a new job. But the former tech firm employee said age was not the only reason.
因为我一开始去面，我甚至不敢在简历里提到我的性别，我都没有提。我简历里面只写的我的累累硕果的战绩和我能做的事情，就是展示的是我的专业性和强大。然后对方面试官拿到我简历以后，先翻了一遍，年龄呢？然后一看，工作12年，90的，35。我说对。第一件，第二件事情就是，有娃了吗
This is the question that most people aren't going to get asked unless they feel like it's really going to. Matter of fact, let me say this. Certain jobs, if you're not married and don't have any kids, they're not going to give you the job because they figure you're a grasshopper. These managers are tired of hiring people that are only going to be there for a short term of time because they even ask you now, how long do you see yourself being here? They don't want to hire somebody that's only going to be there for 7 months. So they figure if you're married or have kids, you're more settled and you won't be much of a grasshopper, just jumping all over the place from one job or another. Even if it's within the same company, people are just jumping into random roles whenever. And that's the current issue in the workforce now. People not staying in one job. You're just bouncing around from one job to another. It's really a waste of time at the end of the day. And that's why a lot of you guys don't have 401ks or money saved up because you move around too much.
第二句，我说有。你知道后来就是我当时说的是怎么说呢？我不敢说我有一个1岁的女儿。他说孩子多大？我说3岁，爷爷奶奶管。
Wow. Wow. Where's the man at though? When the man ain't the man no more, he disappears.
因为我知道你面试，你一开始问的肯定是你最在乎的事情。当问完这些问题以后，我就感觉后面的面试流程就有点变成了聊天，就不是很正规的面试了。就是我感觉在问完这2个问题以后，就给我判了死刑了。
Women face double curses like age and gender, not just age. Some employers, they just advertising for men-only jobs.
Whoa. But see, most organizations, they try to balance out the male and female factor ratio. They're supposed to balance it out. So how is it only going to be a man-only job, especially if it's not manual labor work? If it's in the air-conditioned office building, it should be divided equally, or at least we think it should.
Whether in hidden ways or just in their advertisement, and some employers think it incurs extra cost to hire women. And during the interview stage, women tend to receive questions about their marriage plans.
Whoa! They're not supposed to ask about marriage plans. They usually ask if you married on the spot and then go from there. They're not supposed to worry about it later. What kind of shit?
And at workplace, women, they're prone to sexual harassment.
Get under that desk. I'll give you a promotion next week if you, just a quickie under the desk. No big deal.
Unequal pay, glass ceiling, etc. And in addition to that, there are structural inequalities in the labor market.
Wu says she was once highly sought after talent in the tech industry. Today, she relies on unemployment subsidies to stay afloat.
我就感觉真的，我们不是人，我们是新鲜的抹布，就是一个年轻人，是一个崭新的抹布，公司拿来用，使劲用，把你的精力、耐力全部都磨掉、打光，让你再对工作提不起来兴趣，再也没有思维枯竭，让你对工作变成一个工作机器，然后用废了，提不起来。
You know, it's similar to Japanese culture because a lot of people are ignorant because they'll say Chinese and Japanese is the same thing. No, the hell it's not. It's not. The language ain't even the same. The work culture is toxic in both countries. These are both 2 first world countries, but there is poverty in each one. Korea too. But people are working so much. They're overworked, they're stressed out, they're depressed, they're drunk. A lot of these people go to happy hour with their bosses. That's part of their culture. In the Western world, we're not required to do that, but we do it anyway for social norm. So if you guys that are traveling abroad and you get a job in these countries, you're expected to participate in that. And social media is telling you not to deal with these people outside the workplace. In the West, you have a choice. Over there, it's different. They'll probably fire you if you don't engage in that. So what I'm saying is you have less time to focus on starting a family on your own because you're trying to survive the work world. 80% of your life is dedicated to whatever job you're doing. So you have very little time for yourself. So you're pretty much living to work and not working to live.
起来工作的劲儿了，就会被裁掉扔掉。就是抹布用脏了，一扔一次性抹布。就我在家带娃，我不安心。然后我出去找工作，我找不到。现在就是被夹在这个夹缝里生存，就是不能叫生存了，就很痛苦。
So, what's left for those who have already turned 35? With families to support and expenses like mortgages to pay, many turn to China's booming gig economy.
I'm like this. If you have to rely on gigs to survive and you don't have a mortgage yet, don't get a mortgage. Because you can't really rely on gigs to pay a mortgage. Some people do. Some people have multiple things going on. But a lot of times if you have to resort to this, you're pretty much living on the edge. But somebody has to do it. Somebody has to work at Wingstop, McDonald's, da-da-da-da-da. You get it.
While it's a sector that doesn't care how old you are, it offers little job security.
That's because gig work was never supposed to be a real job. But just like Uber and Lyft, they're trying to go unionized. So I'm like, huh? It was supposed to be just side income. Work whenever you want to, but not turn it into an actual full-time job, which what some people are doing. You have lawyers doing this because they can't get any good cases or good clients. So they have to resort to this on the side. But at the same time, no matter how good your job is and how much you get paid, you should always have something else going on the side. You should have more than one source of income. That's why people are doing social media. That's why people are doctors, lawyers. Yet they have this, the little side business, LLC. You just never know.
就是所谓的中年人失业之后会有一个叫铁人三项啊，我不知道听不听过，就是送外卖、跑滴滴还有送快递啊，就是中年男人失业之后可以做的这个兼职叫铁人三项。最开始的时候就是去送外卖啊，正好那会儿的时候7、8月份的时候夏天嘛，就去送外卖。送外卖的话呢，送了几个月时间，后来呢慢慢的天冷了之后，因为骑电动车确实会很冷。然后因为正好家里有辆车嘛，所以那会儿就觉得那就要不然再去跑滴滴试试，啊，所以后来到了去年应该是9、10月份的时候吧，就开始外卖就先不送，就开始去跑滴滴了。
The Chinese government is taking steps to end the curse of 35. In 2019, Beijing issued regulations to end.
先不送，就开始去跑滴滴了。
The Chinese government is taking steps to end the curse of 35. In 2019, Beijing issued regulations to end sexism in the workplace.
Ha! Shit, we can't even do that in the West. Bullshit. And see, we tell people not to date people that work in corporate America because that's where a lot of this sexual harassment and fucking on the job takes place to begin with.
Including job postings that ask for only men or interview questions about women's child rearing and marriage plans. Chinese Premier Li Qiang stressed in his March 2025 government work report that all types of employment discrimination must be resolutely corrected. But experts say more needs to be done.
People age 35 or above, some of them, they have completed their masters and they completed their PhDs, and that's the time for them to start their career, a successful career. And now the door is closed for them. So this means there's very short years for them to work or to choose from in the job market after their graduation, which is really unfair to them. Yes, the reality makes it too difficult at the moment. Which is not right, really. So the government should really intervene and come up with supportive policies for this group of people, like reskilling and providing more opportunities and mitigate the discrimination. and mental stress these people are suffering from.
Not gonna happen. There's too many people. Overpopulated. You can't fix everything. You can't. It's always gonna be a bunch of issues. But spin the globe back to the West, a lot of women are just gonna rely on government assistance anyway. They'll work low paying jobs just to keep the government assistance rolling in. They're gonna keep having kids to get the support and everything. They're going to keep going on their luxury excursions, drive C-Class Mercedes and everything. It's no big deal. These women just need to come to America. They can just live off the government and work at Wingstop. It's okay. No big deal. Plus, retirement's not guaranteed anymore, so whatever. This is Kai DeVeo. Hope you enjoyed this segment because I sure in the hell did, and I'll see you next time. Peace.